And welcome back, everybody.
Transylvania, Himalayas, or the moon?
I say Transylvania and then the Himalayas because we've been slowly working our way up, literally.
We're gonna... Oh yeah! We
Yeah,
kind of
like that.
started in the mines, we went to ground level, now we're climbing our way through a castle.
And then we'll be in the mountains. Then we'll be on the moon.
Well, that was unintentionally well-timed. If at first you do succeed, don't act so surprised, right?
Exactamundo, revel in it, love it. Be like Scrooge and just bob your head like, yeah.
Dive head first, straight into this hard, rock-solid pile of gold coins.
There was just a time
Do you remember the
when
guy who actually tried to do that? Like, swim in a money pile?
someone actually tried that.
Yeah, he like came out covered in bruises.
Did he end up like this guy in the loading bar there?
I want to point out something interesting about the skeletons in this game too. If you go back and look at the original sprites, which you can, because they include concept art for all the characters in this game, you know the sprite for the Skeleduck, his beak is a little crooked. Like the way the pixels are done, it looks like the beak is a little oddly shaped. So what they did when they brought it to HD is they just made the beak crooked, because it fits with the character anyway, and at the same time it's true to the sprite. I love it when companies are clever like that. Like, have you played Punch-Out for the Wii? They pretty much brought back every single character's old school fall. Which is a weird thing, because you know how ridiculous some of those sprite animations get.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
looking at the original versions, you're like, how would we possibly even bring those to the modern era? Oh, I guess that's how.
3D.
3D!
Oh God, we're bringing Webby. Look at Scrooge's disapproval.
And interestingly enough, out of all the characters here, she's the only one that doesn't get kidnapped.
I know, right? Yeah. Oh,
Bounce on the bridge, it shakes a little bit. Again, tiny little details, but...
no, it's good. That's great. That is good quality. Yeah, look how far behind she is. That's the thing. I have no problem with adding in like a super girly character because they're adorable. But with Webby, they just went like, let's see, how do I best say it?
It's funny because she's a woman.
Yes, thank you. I just went full on. You're a girl. You
Again,
have
it's one of those points where it was that kind of era where people weren't really paying attention to that kind of thing. We're in an
Yeah.
awkward moment in entertainment where people are finally expecting more from everything they look at. I say, it's kind of exciting and not exciting as a creator, because we're in the kind of era where you can make a first-person shooter with a totally white, heterosexual character, but you also have to answer the question of why. You have to be
Yeah.
prepared to justify that choice. It's like, well, with everything else out there, all the other options you've got, why did you opt for this? Something that's been done a million times before.
Oh yeah.
And in just about every single way.
Oh, see, I've got my own little mini tangent on that, and that when you like as a character designer, you get the adage of, well, why are they all white, or what race is this character? Like, why'd you make a character this race? I remember my cousin getting on my ass about wanting to make a character this and not adding anything specific to that, thinking it was just insulting that I just felt like making a character Romanian. So one thing I felt is if you want to make a character, like I say, design your character however you want. If you want to make it a white straight male, go ahead. It's not the aesthetic. It's not the outside of the character we're going to remember. It's what they do. Like I remember, like Jake Long from American Dragon. Basically the show was he was literally a dragon, but he could.
Yeah, I remember this show. Surprisingly enough.
Remember how he would do all the slang talk and just be. He was basically literally a kid just having fun with what he was and what he was doing. Every time he would turn to a dragon, he'd go, "Amdrag in the house." He'd go, "Amdrag in his house. What's up?" It was silly, it was cheesy, but it was hilarious, and I enjoyed it because he was just having fun with being a dragon.
He was basically a New Yorker.
Exactly. And the funny part is, most immigrant kids when they go to a new place, they assimilate that subculture. In New York, you got a lot of people who act like that, so he's just acting with the environment. So it's actually really more super politically correct than anyone would imagine.
Maybe not politically correct, but it makes sense for the character, which is the ultimate point. If it adds to the
Exactly.
character, do it. It's like what
Exactly.
we were talking about with Sanji.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah, like for me, if you want to make a black guy with a pink afro and he really loves cotton candy and that's why his afro's pink, sure, it makes sense. He's imitating his favorite foods. But if you make a character like a lesbian pilgrim and don't go into what that character actually be like or what they go through, and you're just doing it just so you can have lesbian pilgrim fetish sex. For one, just straight up make porn. You don't need to make a story. And two, you're just really cutting yourself short on what could be you're cutting yourself short. Is the real crime here is that if you just make something for the sake of a fetish, it better be the premise of the story, or you've just robbed yourself of a good opportunity to make a story here.
And again, some shows use that to their advantage. Like, at first, I think Buffy the Vampire Slayer was a great example of completely screwing with people's expectations.
Oh
Like, that
yeah.
very first episode where you think you know what the situation is, like, who's gonna play what role, and then they completely throw you for a loop. And
Yeah,
they
wasn't that
needed
show?
to do that in the first moment of the first episode before they even played the intro. They needed to do that because that would set the tone for the rest of the series. That was a great way of letting people know, yeah, we're not going to play by the rules here.
Yeah, wasn't it written by Josh Whedon?
Yes, it was
Yeah,
written
see,
by Joss Whedon.
good on him. Good on him because he's just that kind of guy. He's that kind of guy where, all right, what am I gonna do? Oh, dude, people are gonna think it's gonna be this. Time to throw those expectations under the bus.
I kind of live. I've I've talked about this before, but I've never found the value in playing things by the book.
Mm-hmm.
I've always found stories infinitely more fascinating by what they do differently than by the tropes they follow. And there is value in tropes, as Ednick keeps reminding me, but... Oh, I'm sorry.
Hell yeah.
As Hidden in the Truth keeps reminding me. In fact, it's almost impossible to avoid having tropes in your work, but at the same time, I find a story infinitely more fun to write when you actually go through the process of thinking, what can I do that no one else has done? Like, what makes my story special? What's the reason that people would choose to be a part of the worlds I create as opposed to anyone's else?
Oh, okay. See, now I've got a bit of a little mini rant to go.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I've got another one. So we were talking about ad manga and literally like basically exploiting the reader's want for something.
Mm-hmm.
So, hold on, I had something stuck in my teeth. So, do you know the basic formula with how Japanese entertainment works?
I've seen enough of it, but if you explain it to me, I can probably go, yeah, that's it.
So you know how they're really flavor of the month and what's trending, what's working.
Yes.
Like they're worse about it than we are over here in the States, in the sense that like you're familiar with, well, you know of Attack on Titan, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when it was first illustrated, and it's a shonen manga, meaning it's for boys 12 to 16.
Yeah.
When it was originally serialized and shown in the Shonen magazine, they said, "Dude, what are you doing? This is not what we make." And he's like, "What do you mean? Everything looks dark and depressing. No one's reaching for the hope or the light, and your main love interest isn't the main love interest." And it's like they're basically saying him that thing that you're doing that's different. Stop doing that.
Yeah, and go figure, he created one of the most bombshell animes of all time.
Exactamundo.
Or at least
It's
in recent memory, anyway.
Oh yeah, it's because with shonen manga, it's definitely one of the most popular types of manga. but all of them follow the Dragon Ball formula, and that your main protagonist is a super strong guy that's kind of an idiot and loves to eat, and your main love interest is almost a non-entity. Yeah,
You know,
and
I
how
actually, well, that's sort of the thing. It's sort of escapist fantasy for a lot of young boys.
oh yeah,
It's
no
like they
problem
want
there.
that type of situation in their life where the girl isn't going to talk back. That's a big problem in Japanese culture. Have you ever heard about that?
Oh dude,
Where
oh
they're kind of suffering gender issues and not in the way that term would make you believe.
basically, because all the girls are actually getting jobs and being employed and actually being more proactive, and all the guys are becoming more demure or reeling back on tradition, it's making it hard for everyone to date, especially because that society is so withdrawn.
Yeah, here's the thing. Japanese women have a really bad reputation these days for being far too demanding, and in a lot of cases, they are. While
Yeah,
men have this really bad reputation for being weak, meek, and passionless. And again, in a lot of cases, they are.
yep. Yeah, it's like, oh, we can go
And
on.
they're
We can,
actually suffering a population problem because of that. Their population is actually aging now because of this whole societal thing that's happening. So the government is currently trying to combat this. It doesn't
basically,
help that we've got hotels opening up where you can bring your virtual girlfriend and share a room with her.
I love that. See, that's something that
You
they
shouldn't, though. It's killing everybody in the country.
No, like from a
Your
tourist
waifu is
perspective,
destroying Japan.
my
Think
wife.
about that draw, man.
Actually, I love that. I love the thought of my waifu being the destroyer of worlds. It makes her more awesome. See, I love that as a tourist aspect, and that hey, come to this crazy, wacky hotel, have a picture with a fictional girlfriend. That'd be something great to just put up on a poster in your bedroom. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, well, the
But I see
Japanese
that
government doesn't love it, I'll tell you that much.
to the point where they're doing something I love, and that they're encouraging people. Hey, you know that thing said how you can't really approach someone at a bar? You can do that now. Go ahead. Do that.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, it's like normally, you know, how we can just go to a club and say, hey, want to come back to my place? In Japan, that's really frowned upon. But now they're saying,
In
we're
Japan, relationships just in general are frowned upon. Like, even holding hands in public is considered taboo.
super. Like, it really. Yeah, holding hands in public is bad. Hugging in
It's
public is bad.
sex in Japan is one of those things, like, they're a lot more open about it. It's not,
I can.
how do I put it? It's like it's like something nobody talks about except everybody talks about it.
It's like. It's like how they are with. This is going to be weird. Well, you know, that boat sailed. It's like how they are with porn in the sense that it's something you shouldn't talk about in public, but there's a whole red light district devoted to talking about it so you can give the creators of porn good ideas of what they should make.
Did I ever tell you I wanted to do a first party hentai someday?
Go on, that sounds awesome.
But here's the real kicker. I want it to be canon in the universe it represents.
Hell yes.
So it actually has repercussions on the characters in the future. This side thing you thought wasn't actually going to mean anything. Because I don't think anybody has ever done that. I don't think any company has just stopped for a moment, thought about it, and said, you know what? Yeah, let's just beat people to the punch. Let's actually create this really high quality story that just happens to have sex in it.
Yeah, it's like let's have the characters consummate the relationship they've been building up all these years.
And let's have it mean something. As
Exactly.
we're going back to our discussion earlier.
And, you know, it's like that's one. Here's a little fact about
I feel like
Drawman.
you'd have to build the series from the ground up with that idea in mind. Like, you'd have to be considering that type of thing from the beginning. But
here's
you could do it.
Like, here's a little fact about Drawman most audiences don't know. My favorite kinds of hentai are in canon, or the ones that would most likely be in canon. Because it means that the relationship I've really enjoyed has bearing and meaning, or at least in someone's mind it did. Like, you know, I love reading and watching porns that go full on batshit retarded. You know, it's fun. You know, it's porn. It's crazy escapism. It's awesome. But sometimes I like to see the in-canon couples, consummate their relationship because it's like, hey, these two been through war. They're fire-forged friends couple. They've been through hell and back. It's good they're finally getting down and dirty and bumping uglies.
I had that sort of feeling when I was playing Fire Emblem Awakening for the first time.
Yes.
It just kind of crossed my mind. It's like, cool, I wonder who else I could pair up. And then I stopped myself for a second. I realized, wait a minute. This is shipping. I gotta be really careful about this so that I don't... How'd this pencil end up in my hand? And I look on my desk. There's a picture of Shrek x Voldemort. Should have posted that on Twitter, to be honest with you.
Oh, yes! Shreks!
Shrek is love, Shrek is life.
The Ogre Lord is going to be pleased. It's not ogre until he says it's ogre. Also, a little side note, I love how the background you see that railing system you were just riding on.
Yeah, we were just riding around on that. I wonder if that's actually accurate, too.
I hope so.
Like, because I've never noticed that in the background before. That was a really good catch on your part. Like, if I hadn't ridden that first, would the carts still be on there? And if so, is that line out, is that the way they're lined up right now, is that actually how the tracks are laid out when you're playing through it?
Huh.
I'm sure it is because it's way forward and they're amazing, but...
Yeah, like, way forward are the Joss Whedon of games.
Vote for Shantae in Smash.
Do it!
Crap, I knew I was going to take a hit there. I got greedy.
Speaking of greed, find out on the next episode of Team Pizza Plays. I don't know where that's going.
Ghosts!